Companies such as Alphabet, the holding companies of Google, Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and not to mention all others, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Guys, have you think about what's the secrets behind that turn all these companies to be a multi-billion dollar worth of enterprises in the recent years? And obviously, one of the key success factors is the power of data. To be more specific, big data, that further escalating by the power of data analytics. Hello, my name is Tze Kang Chan, the expert tutor for performance management. And this topic explainer, it's about big data and data analytics. The discussions on both of these subject matters will be mainly referring to the learning resources from the ACCA's website, primarily Study Guide, Chapter 1, Section 1.3.3. By going in and logging in to the web page on the Study Hub, you will be able to get into these sections and pay attention, spending some time, guys, to read through the following sections on big data. Furthermore, ranges of technical articles that is made available now in the website, namely Big Data 1, Big Data 2. It shows wide ranges of explanation, examples, and applications on how big data would benefit and create values for corporations. Last but not least, guys, let's do not forget to go through ranges of practice platforms exercises that were found either from past year's questions, practice exam, as well as specimen examination. To provide you a much better understanding about both the subject matter, the video will first touch on what exactly is big data. How would big data lead to the needs to have data analytics? And then, how would the findings on data analytics turn into useful information for management of corporation? With these broad understanding, finally, I'll take you through with the following illustrations based on past examinations questions. So what exactly is big data? I'm pretty sure, based upon the readings on most of the resources that mentioned a while ago, guys, you must have come across the following 5 V's that primarily commencing from the first 3 components of V that describe the key characteristics of big data. Volume. These are the data that huge in volumes that measure by a measurement unit of petabytes, which is much more larger than the measurement units that we all got familiar, that is in gigabytes, gigs in simple, which is only used to measure the size of storage capacity of most personal computers and laptops. But petabytes is many more times larger than gigabyte. That is the size of the volume of big data. Big data is also appearing in many types of forms, including texts, messages, voices, pictures, videos, motions, many others. These data appear, turn in non-stop on a continuous basis at a high speed level. All these demonstrate the nature, the characteristics of velocities of such data type. The 2 enhanced characteristics of big data nowadays that is highly recognized by many users, namely veracity. It's all about the accuracies, the completeness of the data. And given the big size of such data, it would not worth capturing such data until and unless the financial values by making use of the data is at least greater and larger than the cost incurred in obtaining such data. So altogether, these are the 5 V's that describe what a big data should have. Some of the examples of big data that It's commonly found in daily lives of many of us here, including, as mentioned partially a while ago, pictures, photos, in other words, images, voices, temperatures reading, motions, movements, text, wording, time spent, speed travels, many others. You name it, it has it. These are all kinds of varieties of big data. Guys, have you think about how are these data being captured? Where are they coming from? Well, let's take you through to understand some of the basic understandings regarding sources of big data. There are two primary main sources that capture the big data, namely the second generation of web technology, in short, Web 2.0. These are the web technology that is highly interactive between the owner of the web and the user of the web. Both the parties would have the right to contribute and share and curate the content and the input onto the web. A typical examples of it will be ranges of social medias that most of us guys that are using in our daily lives. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, which used to call Twitter, many others. Not only social medias, blogs, podcasts, wikis, to be more precise, the one that you used to go through to check through for wording, for facts, which is what we call Wikipedia, and many others. These are the typical examples of Web 2.0 technology and invention. The second main source that provide and capture the big data are ranges of technology relating, connecting to internet. These are generally and collectively called Internet of Things, IoTs in simple. Not to mention all electrical appliances, household appliances ranging from washing machine, air condition, security systems, alarms, lighting systems, vehicle, particularly electrical vehicles, telecommunication devices, equipments, machinery, which are all connected to internet, which allowing the user to remotely access and control and to utilize all these instruments and devices. Some of these instruments and equipment may even connect to the manufacturer, allowing the manufacturers to assess the condition of the performances, the quality of the performance of this instrument in order to provide the manufacturer, the producer, ranges of real-time information to stay a closer look in monitoring all the usage of this instrument by all the users type. And guys, spend some time to imagine and observe things that is happening around you to discover further more examples of IoTs. These are therefore the sources that capture many types and different forms of big data, which turn into ranges of form that discussed a moment ago. So have you asked yourself, what's next? Once we have lots and lots of photos that people, users, posted on Facebook, and lots of short clips, or we call reels, that posted on Instagram or many other platforms, what do you think these technology company will do with all these content? Same thing. What do you think a manufacturers will do? What do you think a hospital will do when they capture a lot of reading on temperatures, on images, X-rays of the patient? What can they do with all this data? And the answer is, all these data in raw nature serve very little values. These values are yet to be unleashed until and unless it is further processed by making use of ranges of tools to pick up useful hints and findings. In other words, big data in raw nature, it's still a garbage. But the garbage would turn into something useful. A rock would turn into a precious metal like diamond when we discover precious ingredient and elements in it. Same thing goes and applies to big data. So what's the tools that we used to pick up useful findings and insights hidden in all the big data? Here is the answer: that generate the needs, giving rise the needs to rely on ranges of data analytics. In simple, these are the ranges of tools or methods that used to identify, to pick up patterns, trends, causality between variables, behaviors of somebody, behaviors of human beings, and many more findings from ranges of data analytics. Not to mention all, guys, these are some of the commonly found and common used data analytic tools. Predictive analytics that allow the user relying on the big data to predict and anticipate the future. Text analytics, voice analytics, statistical analytics, data mining. These are ranges of tools that help to identify what that mentioned above. Something worth for you to take note. Majority of these tools are found in many of the softwares that some of it is some things that you are using in daily life. Not to mention all, Microsoft Office, particularly Excel. It's one of the softwares that provide and carry some of these analytic tools. Google Analytics is another example that may have all these functionalities. Guys, try to explore more to figure out what other kinds of analytic tools that are found in the market. And that is something that is beyond the needs in this part of the topic explainer. By using all these analytic tools, what do we discover? And the answer is, we are able to pick up insightful findings. These findings would then become ranges of useful, precious information that is used by several levels of management team of an organization. In order to show the transformation right from the raw data, namely the big data, up to useful information to knowledge creation, that is the pictures that depict the relationship and the transformation processes, which is found in the study hub as well as the article. Namely, it is termed the big data pyramid. If you happen to look at the study hub, that is how the data pyramid looks like, starting from the bottom right to the top. These diagrams depict the origin of the data that capture from the source, namely the big data. With the usage of ranges of data analytic tools that mentioned a while ago, we managed to turn data to become a processed form of data called information. Not to mention mean, average, standard deviation, range. These are some of the mathematical tools that turn all these big chunks of the data into a processed form of information. With this information, it will escalate by using another layer of data analytic tools, which is backed by ranges of algorithm. It's backed by ranges of mathematical calculation that provide insightful findings such as correlation, regression, time series by showing the trend, many others. These, a further level of the process information, will provide insightful knowledge for the management and the users. Guys, with the correlation, with the regression, with the trend, all these knowledge will then in turn take the awareness, take the intelligence of the user to the next level of the height. That is what we call wisdom. Before showing what exactly is the knowledge the creators call wisdom, let's not forget, the greater the potential, the greater the benefit that the big data will be able to provide. It should also be expecting the level of challenges and risks should also be at the same level of the quantity and the quantum. So let's not forget about, while enjoying and appreciating huge amount of benefit and potentials from the big data, it is equally important to keeping an eye to be aware on ranges of challenges and risks relating to the capture and the usage of big data. Not to mention all the cost spent in obtaining big data, the regulations that restricts the proper way, the legitimate way in capturing and using the big data. Data Protection Act, Data Privacy Act, sensitivity in making use of personal or sensitive data. These are all the boundaries and constraints that the user of the big data are required to strictly abide with. With huge amount of data, the risk of misappropriating, misallocating, and loss of such data is naturally high. And that triggers the need to invest significantly on ensuring data security. With such a huge volume of the data, it is inevitable to may have collecting some of the less accurate, misleading data, in short, inaccurate data. Last but not least, another level of the risks and the challenges pertaining to the usage of big data is pertaining to the ethical aspects on capturing and using the big data. And all these will be further discussed at the higher level of the study, which is beyond this part of the topic explainer. Now, with all the understanding on the bright side and the dark side of the big data, it's time to take you through how exactly big data bring wisdoms, create knowledge for the users. With all the findings that mentioned a moment ago, these will become information that is relevant and useful for managing the performance of an organization. In other words, findings from the data analytics would facilitate planning for the future for the business organization, not to mention all resource planning on how are we optimizing the utilization of financial resources, which is money, facility, infrastructure, vehicle, many others. The planning will be much more reliable and accurate, relying on big data. Big data also will provide ranges of relevant information that improve the accuracy of decision making. Especially, it will allow the management team to be able to make a series of complex and complicated decisions, such as optimization of multiple scarce resources utilization. These are the power of the big data that would make lives of the management much more easier than before. With the detailed and insightful findings from the big data, performance measurement relying on such wide pool of the data finding will provide a more in-depth understanding, a more detailed findings regarding the true and the actual performances achieved. The much insightful understanding, the much in-depth understanding and findings in the performances would definitely help to provide ideas for the management to identify improvements initiatives to lead the organizations to have a better level of achievement in the near futures of the performance. Collectively, all these efforts, all these initiatives would contributing to a more effective performance management by writing on information from big data. Before I take you through to a past exam questions, here it's one of the real life examples of how big data will create and turn into values for businesses organization. I'm taking one of the screenshots from the ACCA website. Guys, if you go into the website any moment, it is likely somewhere on the main landing page, it may turn up to have some commercials or advertisement that placed by the advertiser, which is an outsider, on the platform of ACCA. Imagine user like you who click into this bar or this tab, all these actions will be captured by the analytic softwares that hosted by the organizer of these platforms, which may be ACCA themselves or the agent of ACCA. These activities will be captured and turned into all kinds of big data with ranges of analytics functions. All these data will turn into statistics, click-through rate, conversion rate. Not only that, statistics that show after clicking into the main tab, where else would the user landed at? How long would users spend at every part of the website? All these movements will be captured by the big data mechanism of the owner of this website's platform. These data would then be further analyzed and turned into useful statistics to provide to the advertiser. So the advertiser is paying the money to advertise at this platform in return of getting all these findings from the outcomes of the data analytics. If I'm the advertiser, I would definitely more than happy to pay to advertise in this platform in return for all this insightful information. So the advertiser will have a better idea how to plan for the marketing spending, how to set for the promotion strategy, etc. Guys, that is a typical demonstration, the power of big data. How does it bring value for ACCA in generating more revenue income from advertisement fee? Same note, how would these findings of the big data and data analytics provide insightful statistics to the advertiser for them to make a much more informed and accurate decisions like marketing budget and marketing plan? Finally, it is time to take a look at how a typical exam questions found on big data in performance management. As mentioned a while ago, it is worth to take note. Big data and data analytics in the context of performance management are largely appear in the form of multiple choice questions. Here is one of it. Data held by which of the following are the examples of big data? Well, in order to identify the true types of big data, it is important to take note of the 5 V's that I mentioned a moment ago. Using those 5 V's, let's judge which of it fulfill all the 5 V's characteristics. Without any doubt, social media is definitely fulfilling all the 5 V's, such as Facebook, as mentioned before. Information that found and captured in the stock exchange. Not only it captured share prices of many companies, it also captured the trading volume. So that is also fulfilling most of the 5 V's. Multinationals, technology companies like Amazon, without mentioning much, these are all the leading technology company that is making a fortune out of big data. So this is without doubt a big data example. Whereas credit rating agency that is capturing information from many of the customers. It looks like big data. Think deeper, guys. The nature of information that capture from all these customers seems to be similar in nature. It is just about the customer's particular, despite million, which indicate volume. It may not have the kinds of varieties of many forms, many types of data that capture. So ultimately, among the 4, after a more in-depth thinking, it seems all the 4, except the last, may not carry the feature of big data. As such, that indicates an answer which is only capturing and including the first three items is the example of big data. I hope in this part of the video that gave you a clearer picture on big data, data analytics, and how would this knowledge be applied in real life and in examination. With that, take care